Welcome. In this video I'm going to try to walk you through some 2D commands. I'm going to try to speak out loud what the commands are. This program's called Designcad 3D Max, version 2019. It's a pretty great program. I'll show you real simple things. So right here you got your basic drawing commands. Right here you have the line command. It has a bunch of flyout stuff, so you can do any type of direction line. So the first one is this, and the next one would be the ortho command. Just locks it into the ortho, and you can do the same thing by typing V for the first one, and then you can type in V and then lock in the H. So VH will lock it into the ortho, and then hit the H again, takes it out of the ortho command, and then H again puts it into the ortho command. So it's kind of a nice thing. It's a hotkey for real. You don't have to hit the hotkey and enter or apostrophe and enter. So the next one would be the arrow key. What is that, the arrow key? Yeah, it's just creating an arrow. One thing about the arrows is if you have, say your dimensions are about size 1, which is about what we got here. So if you type in, so you want information, you can double click and it'll bring up the information tab, or you can just go to escape and you can hit this thing and it'll hide it. You can hit it here and the info box will bring up there's nothing highlighted, so the info box doesn't come up if nothing's highlighted, and then the info box again, delete it. So that's, and then control A will select everything. D will select, it'll obviously has to be encircling the dimension. Control Z, so if you go D and you're half on the dimension, it won't do the dimension, just any object that it's cutting through. So D, it'll chop out what it's going around, and if you want to connect anything that it's connected to, see this is a polyline. So if you hit Control, it'll select everything. So Control selects everything. Selects everything that it's touching, sort of like the left hand on AutoCAD. So the next one is, I was going to mention in the arrows, I keep the arrows smaller. So if my text is, let's say text is 1, I think we started to do that and then got distracted. Double click to bring up that. Text is 1, and you have options for all the stuff that's on there, your arrows. I like to keep, let's do this. Say maybe this latest one has updated. The reason why I don't like doing, let's say that's your object. I'm going to zoom in. I keep, when I do the dimensions here, let's do this. I want to see if, it seems like I thought it was not working and then later found out that it did. So overshoot for the gap, if we go 0.125, we type it there. I know you can't see it, but so we're zooming in there and we're seeing there's a gap. That's a 1/8 gap. So it used to snap to that. Like AutoCAD, I don't know if AutoCAD's changed that too. So I as habit put everything to 0 there, but it's no longer needed. It doesn't snap to that like it's a separate entity. You can snap to that line. If you hit K, it'll snap to it. It recognizes that it's a line. Wonder if we went here, V, we snapped in K there, it actually doesn't see that there's a line there. Just kind of disappears. You can't snap to it. It's still, that's interesting. V, period. It doesn't recognize it. Only K, when it's there, K recognize. K is the nearest object. All right, so if you want to hit right here, get it close and hit K, it'll snap to the nearest spot. So even though it's near the point, it'll snap to K. It'll probably go to the nearest point. If you hit apostrophe, period, it'll snap to the nearest intersection or nearest node, or right? So period, or you could hit, so if you hit period and then drag it, it snaps and inserts a point at the nearest point. you hit the apostrophe, it snaps to the nearest point. So even if I'm in a command and I hit the comma, I mean, it doesn't snap, it just locates it there. It doesn't insert it like a period inserts it. And then a comma just doesn't do anything, it just locates it there. So if you press shift from there, you could go relative from there without actually snapping a line. All right, so that's that. Let's see, we have the next is perpendicular. I think it's point perpendicular, right? So you could hit V. Let's say you're doing a line from here and you want it to be perpendicular to that. Just go here and do this instead. Where is it? Perpendicular. If you know you're going to go perpendicular, if you say if you're in the middle of a command and you forgot to hit point perpendicular, say you were just in a V mode, you could hit JAA enter, and then it says 90, and it'll go 90 from the nearest line. So if it was V JAA enter, and we would go to this line, it would be perpendicular to that line. So we're 6 minutes in. I haven't even gotten out of the first bar yet. But this is one that you're probably going to use the most, right? So this is perpendicular from a line at a given distance. Let's hit that. So let's say 10 or 12, enter. And we're going to hit this line here, K, and it'll give me a 12 on that side. V, K. Oh, if we hit that again, I think it took me out. Hit that, K. Go that way. So that's your 12, your line 12 long. You hit the next one would be, I don't even know what that is. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a 3D only. There's your point. Insert a point. If you hit Control K, it goes to the middle of the line. Your endpoint is a right click, and then K is the nearest the line, the snaps to the nearest entity. So if it was a circle, we just go to the nearest spot. We have, so this is to a circle, right? So it won't work because there's no circles, but O is gives you a circle. And if we hit this one here, we're going to be, so anywhere from here, it'll draw a tangent line to this line, to that circle. The opposite, the next one is from a circle. So we can go from there, it'll create, hit escape, it takes you out of the command. You don't have to hit anything, just like that. So we could get that line. If you realize that's wrong, you can go Control Z, F3, and it'll bring you back to the same command. Oh, no, it won't. I think it did something wrong. Oh, parallel by distance, I snapped on the wrong thing. So away from the line, right? Hit delete. And then you can hit F3, and it'll bring you back to the same command. If we hit Control Z, and then F3, I think I don't know if it's going to bring it back. Yeah, it does. So it works. It's nice that it remembers it. And to 2 lines, it's not going to likely work from here, so we need not a concentric circle. So how about another circle over here? And then we can use that tangent to 2 lines, tangent to 2 circles. F3 is good for drawing pulleys. Go this way or that way. We could have it one side or the other. And then the last one, just sketch. So if you want to do it continuous lines, you hit F3, F3. F3 just brings up the last command. And let's see, we go to, I think this is tick marks. So it'll give me 4 tick marks, 4 sections, which is right here. So it'll give us 5 tick marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to give you 4 bays. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's a very useful thing. And that's it for the drawing commands on the first level. And then, I don't know, it gives you different view modes, right? So you can pan, zoom window. I don't know what I thought it fit the window. I don't even know what that means. Oh, that's Control W. So if you're zoomed in and you want to see everything, you can hit that. I don't know what that does. Zoom. Fit to window. What does that say down there? Fit the entire drawing inside each view window. So that's when you have all the views open. So you could go window, tile CAD. So you could open up to the Designcad tile. But it kind of doesn't work in 3D. If you're in 3D, it would work, right? Let's go to 3D. So right here on this bar, you have the 3D. I think it's also in view, and it's just giving you 3 views of the same sheet. So this is your isometric view, which we would be able to go, let's say, let's open up this one, right? We're in the rectangle, or so what looks like the rectangle or cube. So you can go like this. Now, if you want, you hit Control. Control will lock you up to the up and down. Shift will lock you right and left. Control Shift will take you away or towards you. So it's a plus or minus axis. So there you go. So that's your 2D cube. If you want to see that it's actually 2D, you can go into Hidden Line Removal, and it actually has some options there. Entire view, GDI, actually like OpenGL. Hidden line shows you little dashed lines you can see, and that's all you need to do on this one, and it'll show you there. So I'm surprised it doesn't show the hidden lines. Maybe I did it wrong. So 3D, and then we look at this, and we can do hidden lines as dash. Line scale 2 is probably about right. Dash scale, I think it's just dash, so it's showing a little dashed lines in the background. Dashes, and it's funny because the hidden lines and dashes are different, but they're calling dashes hidden line. Dashes are smaller than, hidden lines are smaller than dashes. So if you went like this, enter, and then we typed in, if we look at the properties of this, we went to line type, solid, you have dashed, which see the big dash there, and hidden smaller. So dash would look like that, scale 2, hit apply, see how big those dashes are. So it's not really dashes, they're hidden lines. Let's go to, so that's your box. I guess a good time to be in it. There's your sphere. And the cool thing is, this thing prints 3D just almost with no effort, so a little slow. I think I was missing another insertion point. Got to do 3. I only did 2. So, and then you can go here and put it into shading too. Get rid of the hidden lines. It'd be nice to see those. I think it works better in GDI. Anyways, that's your view there. So why is this blue? What is that material? Control I will give you your display. And really not seeing default should be good. Oh yes, let's turn on shading. So 3D shading, OpenGL, hidden lines. Maybe that's why shading. It'll give you a kind of not the greatest shading. Now you can take this and zoom around it. Let's do this. So see, it's actually lined up in the center pretty good. Let's say Control W. Let's say we wanted to look at another object over here. Control W. Put another sphere right over here. So let's say we wanted to look at the back side of that. Right, we type it like this, see it's moving around, it's gonna kinda can't see the back side of it. So what we can do is go to this save view. You look at there's an up arrow, down arrow, and this save viewer points, set viewer points. Just snap it right on there, or right click it so it snaps to an entity. If you left click, it could be way before or even way after that, you wouldn't know. And then now that we hit the center, set viewer points, we can look at set view by center, and then we can move around that object because we came to center of the view. All right. I like the cube. I draw a cube sometimes so it makes it easier to navigate the drawing. Actually makes it easier to draw too. So if I had something that was in 2D, so one of the down this is you type in, let's say H horizontal, and let's say you wanted to draw a line H. So now we're in V, up at 20 degrees, J, C. You can't do J custom angle, so you actually have to go to 2D, right? And then where's that line right there? V, J, C custom 20 degrees, enter. And then tell it how long we want it, enter. And let's go back to regular line. Now, see this, I can paste it on that cube, Control C. And then I can open up the view to 3D. It was hard to see that. Now I can take that. See, it's funny because it's 2D, but they were in two different planes. Because when you're drawing on 2D, it's going to be always at 0. And this, can just show you. So this, if we draw a point on this one and this one, and then we highlight this one was the one we drew in 2D, it's going to be on 0 elevation. This one we drew it in 3D, it was at different than 0 elevation. So when I drew it, it was hidden behind this one. So this, Control H, gives you a selection handle, enter, and you can snap that, and both of those are on the 0 level. And the reason why that's helpful is Control H, right click, enter. You can click 3 times on 3D. You can go to zoom, a little hard to see. You can click it to that. Now it's on the face of that cube. You know it's in a nice XY plane. Let's go to the next one, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's a cap. And depending on how many facets, it takes longer to draw or longer to generate. So we go to the cone, same thing. And nice thing when you're drawing cones, it's nice to draw them on something like this because it can get drawn out of whack. So okay, and then we go the tips. So we know H, above that's an H. It'll go straight up. So let's see. There's a bunch of shapes. Play with those. Don't need to get into them. Arcs. So there's different types of arcs. Thought they would highlight. I have to put it there, and that's just a plain old arc at 50 degrees. Enter. So if you were in 2D and you wanted to draw that there, you could do the same command. I just hit P for pan, and then we want to go to the arc again. We could just type A, right, for arc, and then it's going to be 50 degrees. 3. We could hit that over there. F3. 1, 2. No, arc 50 degrees. Get rid of the H and snap to that surface down there. H works if you snap it here, it works, but if you, I guess I was snapping it here and it was closer to this plane than that plane, so arc, another arc with a radius of certain length. We just did certain angle, certain length. So if you did this and you changed your mind, you know it was 50, you could change the angle on it by dragging this, shift, and then it's the minus key, and then hit that and it'll drag it over to that line there. And you can use trim, so if you had V, K, K, enter, you could trim it to that even though it's not it's not touching. You could click that and it'll trim it if it's in the same plane. AutoCAD doesn't do that. I don't think you have to extend that. AutoCAD's funny. I have to use this program. Hardly ever use AutoCAD. Never use it unless I'm demonstrating. It does automated drawing very well and Lisp routines very well. All right, so there's a bunch of them. 3 points, very useful. That's weird. F3. Why is it doing that? This should be it's so weird, right? Seems like F3 3-point arc about there. Yeah, I think it didn't make a, I'm not sure why it wouldn't make an arc there. It should be, why is it bouncing up in the air? Beyond me. And just trim it. You can, and then Control R, I don't think it bounced up in the air. And then you can also, if this was in the wrong spot, let's say that arc was out there, right? You could grab it and drag it to there, right? And trim it, so you could even trim it out there. If it's in the same plane, it'll trim the even curves to curves. So like that, those two curves. E, trim the curve to another curve. Let's see, we have, I don't even know what that is. Circle center radius, so that's just O. If you type in O, K, oh, I typed in O, K, K, and it'll give you a, I don't know, F3. Yeah, it's giving you the radius. So, and the nice thing, you can click on there and go into here and change it to a 10. Easy, super easy. Start angle doesn't, just tells it where that start point is. Span angle 360. I guess you could do 270 right there. Enter, and from that start angle it would change. Alright. Then we have start, center, start, end. Alright, F3. Just tell it what you want for the radius. It's interesting because specify radius or not specify radius. That's why it didn't follow my radius. Actually, that's not the right one for following the radius anyway. It draws the radius automatically or not. And then, so you can snap, snap, snap to create the radius, or you can snap, snap, snap and just put the radius in the plane. But that's what I did. Let's see, arc, we have, it's just plain old arc. Let's go back to 2D mode. So it's just dragging the arc, F3. So give me an arc there, and it's a, I don't know why it's creating that arc the way it is. 120 degrees, but can't change it. Oh, because I did change that. Number of segments. Interesting. Never used it. So arc here to here, and why is that the radius fixed F3? Because it's fixed at a 120 degree angle. So I could change 120 segments. 45, enter. Yeah, not sure what that does. That drew it as a line. And a line is a vector entity. And you can convert this arc to a selection file. Selection edit. Wish I had a hotkey for that. Edit. Selection edit. So just remember when it comes up, it's roughly the center. Selection edit, and then convert. And then you can convert it to vector convert. And it changes it to a vector series of lines. Now it's just vector information. There's no center anymore. The center went away. Control Z. Here it's an arc and it has a center. And here we go. Let's see. We have a V like that. Enter. We hit that arc. And this looks like it's about 10, so we want to have a radius of about 1. We put that right in there. You can change F3. You can put in, I thought you could do two different arcs. That's a different command, I guess. Number of segments. So I don't know if you draw this line, it would have 45 segments. Or you could type, say, let's say 3. Put it in there like that. Then that vector is, if this was 2 lines, V, enter, and I hit F, fillet, it'll fillet that. This just draws a fillet inside there. I don't know that that's in the same with fillet, I think is in modify. This is just drawing it in. Here's your ellipse, here's your long major axis and minor axis. So it would be like this. And this one, and if we did that again, I don't know, I tend not to do it as a line. I tend to do it as a everything first as a it retains the center points till I'm ready to convert it. Okay, the next one, ellipse. This just draws a ellipse a little different way. So major center, major axis, minor axis, and then I can start the curve anywhere I want. It doesn't start necessarily at the points like that one. And that's a lot of information. That's 30 minutes, so that's enough for one video. So we'll call this Designcad 3D Max Lesson 1, Drawing Commands.